plant people. I'm really excited to be sitting next to Vidya. Hi.
Hi.
Thank you so much for having me here today.
Thank you for coming. It's so lovely to see you.
So we're sitting here in Nalini's in Bondi. This is one of 2 physical spaces that you've got, but 3 places where we can purchase your delicious produce.
Yes.
That's correct.
Correct.
Right?
Correct.
But you've been in other places. So let's go to the beginning of the Nalini's journey. Bondi Junction.
Bondi Junction, that's where it all started. So that was in 2015. So it came about when I had enough of my corporate job as a financial advisor, and I had my own sort of digestive and gut issues going on, and so I was doing my own little journey to healing, so to speak. So with my mum and my family, we took a holiday in South Africa at our friend's place, Harry, who is our 3rd business partner. So basically the business is, Nalinis is formed. Nalini is my mum, so that she's the namesake of the store.
Isn't that amazing? What a
So
great
it's a real
legacy.
family business at heart.
Nice.
And then there's Harry, so he lived in South Africa, and Harry was very much into fermentation and sauerkraut and kombucha, growing his own vegetables on the farm. So very much a self-sufficient lifestyle. And so we went to visit him on his farm in South Africa, and so he was like, I think you really need to try a lot of fermented foods, probiotics. It's all about the gut, and I knew about it, but I just I kind of needed some direction. So he then taught me how to do sauerkraut, and he's taught me how to make kombucha, just eating really good organic produce from his farm. And on my way afterwards, when I came back, I actually felt so much better. And it was like, wow, this is amazing. This kind of, eating fermented foods is great. And then as I started doing a bit more research into fermented foods, I found out that being Indian, we have a lot of fermented foods ourselves. And so mum was, of course, the queen of South Indian fermented foods like idli and dosa. And I had had enough of my corporate job as a financial advisor. And so we were like, well, we should do something where we can combine the Western style of fermenting with the traditional South Indian style. And mum also had the ayurvedic background coming in, and it was basically like, why not we create a place where people can just go out and eat without feeling like blur? Because I was like, if I'm one of those people that feels like I love to eat out, but I just can't find a place that is doesn't make me feel bad after I eat out and indulge. Surely there must be a couple of people, is what we thought back then. And so that's essentially what Nalini's is. It's a place where the cooking still today is very much like home style cooking. It comes from the heart. We don't use any nasty stuff. It's a place where you can go out, you can still have fun eating out and feel like you can get that real restaurant experience without the greasiness and the bloating and all the stuff that comes when you want to treat yourself when you're eating outside. So we found a space in Bondi Junction in 2015. We said, let's go for it. I quit my job.
So brave. It's so scary, but so rewarding.
Yeah, it was like, for me, the pain of continuing in my corporate job was so much more than the fear of leaving it and starting something new. And I think just over we've now been around for over 5 years, and it's just taught me so much about it's just taught me so much about just going for it and just seeing it through, because the pain of just not doing it is so much more than the pain of staying in it. We were hoping that there would be maybe a few people that might be interested in South Indian food, but with a bit of fermentation and different aspects of health thrown into it. It's really hard to explain to people what we do, because it's just Ayurvedic philosophy is like the fundamental sort of foundation, and then built on top of that is probiotics and fermentation, which is all about gut health. Built on top of that is plant-based. Built on top of that is gluten-free. And so there's so many layers to what we do. And it's really hard to explain to people that we're not a traditional Indian restaurant, because we don't do traditional Indian stuff. But at the same time, we're not a Western restaurant. So we sort of come somewhere in between. But I just tell people, look, if you like to eat something healthy and something tasty, this is the place. That's it.
Yeah. Wow. and what you found then was that there were lots of people who really were looking for this. and was searching for this kind of cuisine, right?
Absolutely.
I want to ask you a little bit about the Ayurvedic side of things. Can you explain just a little bit to the people at home what Ayurveda is, and why it's important to bring it into your daily life?
Yeah, okay. So it's really hard to concise a 5,000-year-old wisdom in, say, 30 seconds, but I'll try my best to explain what it is. Ayurveda is living as close to nature as possible, living in as much harmony with nature. So that means eating seasonally and eating according to the rhythms of the day, eating according to what your body is trying to tell you. So it's very much, living very intuitively with what nature has put you on this earth to do, what your body is basically telling you. And unfortunately, as we grow up and we've just learned to disconnect that connection and that intuition. And there's this voice that's telling you, the body is trying to show you different signals of what you should eat, how you should feel, but we just sort of don't listen to it, and we cut that connection. Ignorance of who we are is the basis of disease, according to Ayurveda.
Yes.
So not knowing who we are, not knowing what our true potential is, what our constitution is and living in something that is in disharmony with nature is the root cause of disease. And disease also is not just a physical ailment that happens like a cold or a flu. Disease basically is an imbalance of energies, an imbalance of your body, your mind, and your spirit. So it's not just, disease is not an absence of health, it's basically lack of vitality, lack of that energy, lack of that purpose in life. So it's crazy. It's like, when you think about disease from a Western perspective, like I said, it's like not just your gut not working properly, or you're not being able to digest things, but it's also how you're digesting the world around you.
Yes.
How you're digesting the thoughts and all of that kind of stuff. So, and food is such an important part of that, because what you are, what you eat, and that food that you eat is actually going into you. It's making you, it's becoming the blood and the plasma.
It becomes you, right?
It becomes you. And so if you eat something that is not according to your body type, or it's not according to nature, then that becomes a part of you, or that basically sort of stands to be this opposing force of you, and then there comes the manifestation of disease and disharmony in nature.
I think you explained that really well in a short period of time.
So I think it's just super, super, super important that we all learn to live, at least, just for our own peace of mind, to live as closely with nature as possible. But at least at the very basic, seasonal, local, and including 6 tastes, which I think is a much more easier way to incorporate Ayurveda into your life.
Okay, and what are those 6 tastes?
So the 6 tastes, we do a tasting platter. That is one of the dishes on our menu. It's called the 6 taste tasting platter. So it basically, there's 6 naturally occurring tastes, which are sweet, sour, bitter, pungent, astringent, and salty. So the whole premise is the Ayurvedic nutrition is quite different to Western nutrition in that way. So it doesn't look at macro nutrients, but it's
carbohydrates and
proteins and that kind of stuff. But rather based on how we've evolved as human beings, and really relying on our tongues to guide us to eat according to how we want to feel. And so, like, for example, sweet tastes are normally things that give us strength, and they naturally end up being like foods that are rich in carbohydrates. Fuel, exactly. So it's not just like sugar. Sweets are just like, wheat, rice, grains, all that come under the sweet category. Salt is basically salt. So the examples would be like, kelp, seaweed, salt, that's salty food. Sour is any citruses, so all kinds of citrus fruits, even vinegar, or like sauerkraut, anything that has a sour taste to it. Bitter is all generally things that are leafy green vegetables are considered bitter, because they have a detoxifying nature to them. They are light, so it's just sort of more for purification and detoxification. And astringent is that puckering taste that you get when you drink like red wine or tea.
Yeah, you get that
drying.
in your mouth.
Yeah, so it's like a contracting feeling.
Yes.
And astringent tastes are very good for that drying that we need as we get to, heavy is very important for that drying aspect of it. And pungent is the spicy, that hit that you get, like wasabi or like chilies or pepper.
Yes.
All that kind of stuff is best. So the whole idea is, if you can incorporate all these 6 tastes in every meal, then basically you're on your way. Yeah, you're on your way to feeling good and balanced. As in our 6 taste tasting platter, you'll get rice, dal, the curry of the day, some salads, some sauerkraut. So that basically includes all the different 6 tastes. And every single person that eats it just says, I just feel good. Like, there's no other way to describe it other than I just feel good after eating this. And you don't crave a little sweet or a little chips afterwards, because everything is there already.
Because you've satiated yourself.
Exactly.
Right? You've given yourself everything that you need by drawing on all of those 6 tastes to be like in the predominant and most aligned with natural state of being.
That's exactly right.
Amazing.
Yeah.
You should all be here right now. That's what should happen. So on your menu, let's talk about your food at the moment and your venue. So we're now sitting in Bondi. And where is your other venue?
So the other venue is in Bronte. So it's 263 Bronte Road, Waverley. So it's Charing Cross, Waverley, that suburb.
Yeah.
And here 42 Hall Street in Bondi Beach. Our first one was Bondi Junction.
Yeah.
So on the corner of Spring and Newland Street.
Yeah,
so just at the beginning of the year, we shut that premises as our lease was coming to an end. And as I was just telling you before, it kind of all worked out better for us, but COVID starting and construction going in Bondi Junction. So it was just nice to have. It's now nice to have these 2 locations.
And mostly dinners at the moment is what you're doing too, isn't it?
Yeah.
Just in case you decide you're coming on down, which you definitely should. Now, the most popular thing on your menu.
The most popular thing, it's a hard thing to answer. There's so many.
I know.
So I'll tell you, so when we started Bondi Junction, we started off with like 4 wraps on the menu.
Yes.
And we just had 4 wraps and a tasting platter. And that was it.
Yes.
So we've sort of evolved a lot since then over the last 5 years. So the menu has just become bigger and bigger.
Yeah.
The most popular things, the wraps are still like very close to my heart, and they always like hit the spot. It doesn't matter how you feel, it just hits the spot, and it's a good size. So the wraps basically are made from dosa. So we are famous. The most thing that we're famous for, and something that you should absolutely try, is dosa. Any variety of the dosa.
So good.
So to give you a bit of background about the dosa is basically this bread that's made from fermented rice and fermented lentils.
Yes.
So we soak the rice and the lentils separately, and then we ferment, and then we grind them in a stone grinder, very traditional still. We grind them in a big stone grinder, separately the rice and then the lentils, and then we mix them together, and then we let it to ferment. So the whole process takes about 24 to 48 hours of just like soaking overnight, grinding them separately, and sometimes even 72 hours when it is winter. So so in summer it ferments faster. So we don't add any yeast. There's nothing. It's just does its thing. Lactic fermentation does its own thing.
Okay.
So once it's ready, the batter kind of turns a little bit sour, just the perfect amount of tang, and then we make it into this crepe on a hot plate. And this crepe is what is called a dosa. So dosa is a very popular traditional South Indian street food.
Yes.
It's not as common in North India. North India is more wheat heavy, whereas South India is more rice heavy. So we make the dosa, everything, and it is made to order. So once you place the order, then we make it. So because it's just rice and lentils, it's naturally gluten-free.
Yes.
And it is fermented as well. So it is like the easiest thing to digest.
So delicious.
From babies to adults, everybody loves a dosa. So
good.
and we're going to make one very soon for you.
I can't wait. I'm so excited. This is the best part of my job. Apart from talking to lovely people. Now, and your favorite, so we say dosas, wraps, they're probably the most popular.
Yeah. So we've now gone ahead and like I said, the menu has just sort of transformed itself. And so we have the traditional one, which is the masala dosa, which comes with the potato curry, which is called, we call it masala, and then some coconut chutney and tomato chutney. So you take a piece of the dosa, you dip it into the coconut chutney, tomato chutney, take a bit of the masala and eat it. So that's traditional. Amazing. Fantastic. Or you can go a little bit our variety. varieties, which is a dosadilla, which is like our version of a Mexican quesadilla. So
yes,
the
fusion of foods here is incredible. Like it's amazing. What's the filling in that one?
So the filling is a real mix of veggies. So it's got potatoes, sweet potatoes, broccoli, zucchini, whatever is in season really. And then we have these sauces that go on top as well. So the sauces are also fermented. The idea is to have fermented foods as much as possible. Wherever we can feed you fermented foods, we will feed you.
Good. Someone needs to.
And so it has this date and tamarind sauce and a mint and coriander sauce. Everything is made fresh, in-house, nothing is bought, and it's sort of drizzled on top. And that is amazing. Again, hits the spot every single time. Anytime you're hungry or anytime your first time to Nalini's, don't know what to order, go for the dosadilla. That's like a winner all the time. So dosadilla is great, and now we've got a new variety of a dosa called the Turkish gözleme dosa.
Oh my gosh!
Which is our take on a traditional Turkish gözleme. Normal Turkish gözlemes are made with flour.
Yes.
And it normally has spinach and mushroom. Our version has plant-based cheese, mushrooms and spinach, and like our signature spice mix. And then it's sandwiched in a dosa, and when you cut it, it just like oozes, and it's just it is so good.
Oh my gosh!
Even if I say so myself, I can't get over it. That's probably the most popular thing and my favorite thing on the menu.
So your favorite is the
Turkish gözleme is really good. It is so good. It's really good. So that's only available in our dinner menu.
Okay. At both places?
At both places, yes.
Okay.
At both places. And the falafels, our falafels are made from lentils, not chickpeas. Really light.
They're really light and so herby. They're so full of herbs. They're almost green.
Yeah. So
delicious.
Again, the falafel batter, we soak the lentils overnight, we grind it, and then we let the batter to ferment, again making it easy about digestion. So the whole thing just comes down to having foods that are so easy to digest, and in no way is flavor or taste compromised.
Not at all.
Thanks to herbs and spices that we use, you do not feel you're missing out on anything because you're eating healthy. You just feel light, and you're like, yep, I'm ready to take on my day.
Yeah, it is incredible.
Yeah.
We need to talk about the ice cream quickly.
Yes.
Tell them.
We always were going to have ice creams as one of the offerings because it's Harry's baby.
Yes.
So we had that as a little side offering. So we were making soft serves out of Bondi Junction. So Harry, I call him Char Char. Char Char means uncle in Hindi.
Lovely.
And because it's his baby, we decided to call the business Char Char.
Char Char.
And started then a pop-up in Bondi Beach. Just in between Hungry Jackson and Portal, where we still are, in 2017. It's just a way to see if ice creams, if it was a thing that could just survive on its own. And we were beyond surprised because it just completely took off.
It took off.
Yeah. We've now got over 30 flavors of vegan ice cream that is also refined sugar-free. Again, doesn't make you feel blah. That's always the most important thing. Whatever we do, it's got to make you feel good. It can't, we no nasties is like the most important thing for us in the business.
And you're nailing it. Like you're getting
you.
it. Everything on this menu is just divine. Thank you so much for talking to me today. Let's give you where do people find you? Online? Do you have a website? Tell the people where they can find you.
The best place to find us would be Google. If you just Google Nalini's Bondi, Nalini's Bronte, it will come up. We've got an Instagram as well where we post regularly, where I post regularly.
Yeah, at
Nalini's Ayurveda Kitchen. Lots of information about Ayurveda as well if you're interested. We do a thing called Wellness Wednesdays. Every Wednesday, hashtag Wellness Wednesday and hashtag Wholesome Wednesday, where we just share tips on living a more wholesome life. So you can follow us on Instagram and Facebook. And if you're interested in our ice creams, you can find us here, 42 Hall Street, Bondi Beach, or 263 Bronte Road, Waverley, or at Vegan Lebanese Street Food. We've got an awesome collaboration with Vegan Lebanese down the beach at our old site.
Yes.
So you can find our ice creams there as well.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Do it. Do yourself a favor. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you again.
Thank you so much.
So happy
so fun
to sit here and talk to you.
Thank you. It's always so nice to share our background, why we do what we do, because once we open the doors, it's always like, It's so busy just taking orders and getting the food out,
Yes.
but it's just so nice to sit and talk about our philosophy. So thank you for giving me the opportunity.
Thank you for inspiring me to eat and play with different spices. It's really, I've loved watching your journey. It just warms my heart so
Thank
much.
you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And I'll see you guys next time on Plant People. We're going to go and make some dosa.
Okay, let's do it.
Well, that's it for this episode of Plant People. Don't forget to comment, hit like and subscribe. And follow us on Instagram at plantpeople.tv. And if you are a plant person or you know any plant people, hit us up in the comments. We'd love to hear from you. See you next time.